Commissioner Fielder, this is Patricia. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner O'Donnell, are you on? Mr. English, are you helping Commissioner O'Donnell?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner O'Donnell is on the line.
Very good, Commissioner O'Donnell. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, let's get started. Morning, everybody. Time's now 9:35 a.m. This is Tuesday, November 29, 2022. It's time and place for our regularly scheduled business meeting in the Montana Public Service Commission. I call this meeting to order. Would the other commissioners join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands one people, with liberty and justice.
Thank you, commissioners. We have Vice President Johnson, myself, and Commissioner Pinocci present in the Bollinger Room this morning. We have Commissioner O'Donnell and Commissioner Fielder attending virtually. So we do have quorum this morning. This would be the time and place now for public comment. The Montana Public Service Commission welcomes public comment on any matter before the commission. Is there any public commenters in the room? Seeing none, are there any public commenters online? Seeing none, no public comment this morning. We have no changes to the agenda this morning. So let's roll right into our action items. Action item number 1 is approval of the commission minutes for the week of November 21st, 2022. Vice President Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move we approve those minutes as distributed.
Is there a second? Commissioner Pinocci has seconded. Discussion, changes to the minutes for the week of November 21st, 2022. Seeing none, all those in favor of the Vice President's motion to approve the commission minutes for the week of November 21st, 2022 signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed signify by saying no. Seeing no opposition, minutes are approved. Move into action item number 2. This is updates on commission travel for the months of October and November. This is our opportunity to inform the public about commission travel and how it benefited the consumer and the agency. Vice President Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Actually, I'm going to depart from the agenda and talk about a September trip and November trip. September, I attended the CREPC meeting in Tempe, Arizona. Notable there was discussions that finalized a proposal to formalize the structure of the CREPC organization, which had been in the past a very informal arrangement between WEAB and that group. The importance of CREPC is that it provides for those states in the Western region a valuable voice in terms of policy for transmission, generation, distribution, that kind of thing. And I think these enhancements in terms of the organizational structure will in fact improve the efficacy of that organization. So I was happy to be a part of those discussions. The conference also provided an opportunity for me to recruit a couple of key individuals as participants in the reliability conference for the 8th and 9th of December here in Helena. And then in November, I attended the annual meeting of NARUC in addition to the issue and policy seminars that were attended. Again, had an opportunity to secure, especially notably, the participation of Commissioner Danley in our conference for the 8th and 9th. Also was very frankly pleased with discussions that took place at the Nuclear Energy Committee meeting as they begin to shine brighter light on the potential that the small modular nukes offer for Montana, specifically in the area of conceivably retrofitting 3 and 4 to preserve that dispatchable generation for the state and for the region, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Commissioner O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mr. President. At the meeting of the National Commissioners Association, NARIC, in New Orleans recently. There were two things that really grabbed me that were beneficial to Montana. One is that there was a roundtable of different commissioners being asked how they are addressing, from a rate design point of view, the increasing pressure on upward pressure on rates. And it was very interesting. Different commissioners had different perspectives on that. The other one was throughout three different hearings and a little bit of another one talking about the resource adequacy that Commissioner Johnson was just talking about. The head of the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, NERC, talked about, expanded upon comments that he had made about the looming potential shortages of electricity in the country. The president of MISO echoed the same theme. Another commissioner from a Midwestern state was talking about resource adequacy from the same baseload power perspective. His was interesting. It relates to Montana in that he said that one of the problems they had with the possible railroad strikes is making sure they had enough coal delivered to their coal plants to provide the power that's necessary, which to me underscored the absolutely unique significance of Colstrip to Montana being a mine mouth coal generation plant. Any disruption of rail service has no effect whatever upon that. So from a resource adequacy point of view, pointing out that the organizations are paying a lot more attention to the potential of running out of power because of the premature retirements of baseload power, primarily coal and coal facilities. I think that was very, very informative and very useful, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Donnell. Commissioner Pinocci.
Thank you, Mr. President. So breakthrough in technology with power lines and conductors. They're now running fiber optics inside the power line. And the fiber optics can monitor the power line 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every second. And if they see a hot spot, it can measure temperature. This can lead a crew to a potential problem before the line breaks. So it could prevent a forest fire. Also, we're able to measure energy efficiency within the power line with the fiber optics. And of course, I know that power company doesn't want to be in competition with communication, but a few more strands of fiber optics could provide internet service or phone service to large areas inside the power line. Now, they certainly didn't want to go after that market, but the technology is there now to put fiber optics within a power line. I think that's incredible breakthrough technology. CTC Global has the patent, and they're the only company that has that. So that was very exciting. Bob Rowe with Northwest Energy was at the table with me, and we get a chance to look at the demonstration together. Also, another device that's out, it's about the size of a cell phone. It plugs into your home, and we're able to monitor electricity throughout the home. Voltage at all times. If it's voltage is low, voltage is high. If you throw a breaker or there's any arcing in the home, it can identify that. And it's monitored 24 hours a day by the company that provides it. There is a monthly charge, but they said the insurance companies some of the insurance companies are picking up that bill. So I'd suggest that we get a few of those here and have an article, and I want the public to be aware that's available. I want to get one in my home, and I think the bottom line is we'll be able to monitor power and stop a potential electrical problem short before it creates a fire or havoc. So, and of course there was other things, but that was the exciting part for me. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner Pinocci. Commissioner Fielder.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too had a little bit of travel in September. I will go back to that hasn't been reported on yet, and it began in early September, responding to a constituent matter regarding the supply and standards of meter bases and the lack of availability of these things on for new construction, new homes, having extensive delays getting connected. I traveled to Missoula to meet with the construction superintendent for Northwestern Energy and discuss that, learn more about their standards and their requirements, and discovered that they are having what seem to be severe supply chain issues with being able to provide not only meter bases or for the industry to provide meter bases, but for Northwestern Energy to obtain the materials that they need to be able to provide new services like transformer boxes and even the conduit and the wire and things are in very short supply. So several hundreds of homes in my district, new homes, were being I would say slowed down in terms of being able to be inhabited because of the lack of these essential components that were available. Northwestern, I think, has been trying to do what they can to pre-order and get ahead of the curve, but they are still facing some supply chain issues. And they've got some standards that are different from some of the other utility companies that we've been trying to flush through and figure out if there's any way that some of those standards can be relaxed. And I think Northwestern's provided good reasoning for the standards that they have, but it's something that I think we could probably look deeper at as a commission to determine if there's any way that we could help resolve the supply chain shortages by somehow streamlining standards because they seem to be different across different companies. And while I was down in Missoula on that trip, I extended the trip down to the Bitterroot Valley to meet with some legislators in my district and provide copies of the recently adopted strategic plan. So I did that while I was on the same trip. So that September was just some in-district travel, fairly minimal. October was a very big trip. I went to Florida to attend the rate school, the NARUC rate school. It was in Clearwater Beach, Florida. It was very intense training. It was, I think, very, very beneficial. We were assigned to work with teams at this rate school, and I understand it's a little bit different than the one that's in New Mexico, because here we were assigned teams, work groups, and my team, I think each team had a diverse array of participants on it. Mine included advocates, consumer advocates, engineers, utility representatives, regulators, analysts, and myself being a commissioner. A wide variety of backgrounds came to the table, and we were required to work through an actual rate case. And we spent the entire week doing that. We would attend some general sessions. All the teams would attend general sessions and learn a little bit about what we would be examining that day. And then in the afternoon, we'd break out into our teams and work through that particular aspect of managing and a rate case and coming up with a determination of not only the rate, but the rate design. So we went through financial statements, selecting a test year and, why we selected a certain test year, the criteria that went into that, developing the rate base, looking closely at the company's operating expenses and depreciation, looking at taxes and alternative cost recovery mechanisms, examining capital structure and the cost of debt, and also the consumer perspective on corporate finance, various cost allocation methods, and then finally the rate design itself, how you spread the rate across different classes of customers over different timeframes. What was really most interesting to me was that there were 22 different teams, and in the end, there were 22 different answers of what the correct rate and rate design application is. So that was an eye opener, and I think that there was a lot of room within your decision making on what you would allow and disallow as costs, how diligent we were in examining the records of the company. It was rather exhausting, so I could see how it could wear some people out, but we stuck with it, and I think our team did an excellent job, and I felt really good about what we ultimately came up with as a final rate and rate design. And our team's conclusion was similar to 3 other teams, very, very close to it. So there were 4 teams that ended up with a very, very similar answer. And then the other ones really varied the whole spectrum. It did require great effort. I have a great respect for what our staff does. I have a greater understanding for what they do. And I think the training helped me understand better what we need to do as a commission and what our actual responsibilities are in this respect. So I think it was very, very beneficial use of time. There were only 3 commissioners at this rate school, and there were 2 members of Montana Consumer Council there. I was the only one from the Montana Public Service Commission or our staff at this particular one. One thing that I learned, some perspective from another commissioner, was that this NARUC rate school is probably a good first school to go to. And then the one that's more complex is the New Mexico University one. I think that's the one Commissioner Pinocci attended. That's the one Gary Duncan teaches at. And the advice given to me was start with the NARUC rate school where you're in teams working together. It's a little different. It's a good first step. And then if you want to go deeper, that New Mexico rate school is a deeper dive into it. So it was an excellent experience, and it was hard, but I think it was really timely now that we're into a rate case of our own. And I really highly recommend that every commissioner should attend this type of training.
Thank you, Commissioner Fielder. I also had travel. In November, I attended the NARUC National Conference in New Orleans with Commissioners Johnson, Pinocci, and O'Donnell. Lucas Hamilton, legal counsel here at the PSC, also attended on behalf of the agency. And then Mr. Brown, the Consumer Counsel, was in attendance as well. After nearly 2 years of serving on the Public Service Commission, this was my first opportunity to attend a NARUC meeting live, and it was a pleasant experience. I serve as the Montana representative on the Committee on Gas. As part of the same, the committee had an extensive discussion on the role of natural gas and transitioning from use of so-called fossil fuels to zero carbon emissions, serving as a bridge, if you will, in the changing nature of power generation. Part of the discussion involved NARUC legally intervening in the proceeding involving FERC's NOPR, involving processes and procedures relating to development of transmission facilities across the United States. Discussion relating to federal attempts to preempt transmission siting were discussed. There is some concern from states about the federal attempt to basically override state priorities in siting of transmission facilities. If there's a public interest, a copy of NARUC's motion to intervene is available for public distribution by contacting the commission for a copy of the same. In addition to topics covered in the gas committee discussion, I also attended forums relating to ensuring the integrity of the grid, funding available under the IIJA, and incorporation and development of new technologies into the energy mix. Further, a general session spoke to the interrelationships between state utility commissions, legislators, utilities, consumers, and Wall Street. In addition, I attended the chairs meeting. So a meeting of all the chairs of the various state commissions. Much of the discussion involved there is not going to be a surprise to anyone. It related to keeping and retaining staff. That is a challenge that every state is facing, and keeping and retaining and recruiting new people to their commissions. So this is just not a Montana centered problem. Total cost of the conference amounted to $2,145, which was inclusive of hotel, airfare, and registration. Okay, thank you, commissioners. We'll move straight into our work session. We have one item on the work session this morning. Work session item number 1 is docket 2022.10.096. This is Town of Saco Municipal Gas. Town of Saco order to show cause. We're here to receive an update on the order to show cause issued on October 20th, 2022 by the commission. Joel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Commissioners, in October of this year, the commission issued an order to show cause the town of Saco for non-compliance with certain pipeline safety regulations. At that time, they were struggling, trying to come into compliance. The order to show cause detailed 3 different conditions that the town would need to comply with to begin to come into compliance, and the order allowed them 90 days to do so. Since that time, they've hired an outside consultant, WSB Engineering, a Minneapolis-based firm that's versed in the pipeline safety regulation world, and have brought them in. And I commend them. They've done yeoman's work, and at this point in time have complied with the 3 conditions that the commission had laid out in that order. And we are recommending at this time that the commission dismiss the order to show cause as they have met those requirements. Now, that doesn't mean that this is the end. We're going to be continuing to work with them and do our normal inspection work to make sure that they're complying with here on out. But we believe at this point in time that this order to show cause can be dismissed. There was a memo routed as part of your packet that kind of detailed what has gone on with the analysis, and we would highly recommend that the commission dismiss this order to show cause.
Thank you, Mr. Tierner. Mr. Harworth, did you want to add anything? Laura, anything? All right, Commissioner Panochi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, this is great news. So I support staff recommendations to dismiss show cause.
Is there a second, Vice President Johnson?
Second the motion, Mr. President.
We have a motion that's been seconded. Discussion? Questions? All right, easy morning. All those in favor of Commissioner Panochi's motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying no. Seeing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Tierney and staff. All right. That should conclude our work session items for the morning. So I'll make a couple general announcements. On Thursday, the Northwestern University Electric Dialogue on Electricity System Adaptation, Solving the Issues of the West will be held in Park City, Utah. And our next commission business meeting will be at 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday, December 6, 2022. Seeing no further business to come before us, the time is now 9:57 a.m. and I adjourn this meeting of the Public Service Commission.